evil genius. All right, everybody, turn the volume up. Get ready. It's time for the Cave Sports. I'm your host, Anastasia, and I am joined each week to talk football and social topics by the greatest co-host on the island of Hawaii, the evil genius, Mr. Pepper himself.
That is me. What's happening, everybody?
Notice I just said the island of Hawaii.
Yeah, I know that kind of relegates me to just this little small part of the ocean, but I'm the greatest co-host ever anywhere. You're not going to find one better than me on Mars. You're not going to find one better than on Jupiter. None of them. Right here, everywhere.
Oh, you are one of the top. I would agree. But I figured let's just start with Hawaii and go from there.
See,
I feel confident in that.
You're trying to limit a brother right there.
You are limitless. Don't let them hold you back.
Exactly.
Don't let the man hold you back. I love it. Well, as always, we are going to cover hot topics in sports entertainment, but just to make sure that you have everything you need before kickoff each Thursday evening, we're going to tackle the top 10 power rankings. We're going to talk about notable injuries, roster lineup changes, and of course, our upset and sure thing pick of the week. And this week, we're going to bring back our WTF moment and, of course, my cave conquering moment. So just some moments for you to kind of think a little bit further and then to celebrate women in sports or to highlight some maybe injustices. That's why it's the cave. It's for men and women.
That's right. Equality here.
I'm infiltrating, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, you can catch The Cave every Thursday morning, and make sure to follow us for updates on Facebook and Instagram at The Cave Sports. You can download our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and of course, Google Play.
There it is. I'm ready to get rocking and rolling. Before we get into our upset picks and our top rankings of this week, I do have to talk about how absolute dog shit horrible we were at making picks last week.
Everybody was horrible.
It was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. It was just all over the board as far as who came out the ball and who looked like they was still in preseason. As you know, we put up our picks now on Instagram. You can follow us at Cave Sports Podcast. That was what was available on Instagram. Apparently there's some other caves out there. They ain't as good as us though. They ain't doing that.
But none of them are even like good sports. Like, it's hilarious. I'm like, why did you even use a name if you weren't even going to use it right?
Exactly. So in our picks last week, I went 5-16. Absolutely horrible.
What did I go? 3-16? I mean, it was pretty crazy.
You went 6-16. You got me by
barely.
1. Yeah, you got me by 1.
I can't even brag on that because honestly, it was just ridiculous to me. Like, just watching the teams, watching some of these blowouts, it was embarrassing. I see quite a few pink slips that will be passed out, as we will be discussing later on in the segment. The fact that not one new head coach won this past week, so we will be discussing that.
Yeah, your differentiating picks were Denver, of course, Homer. And Seattle just blew it. We should have won that game.
You're saying we like that's your team, and it's not.
I know. I did say that. We as in the team that I picked to win, or to at least cover the spread by 3. Wow. That's what I meant by we. So you had Denver, your Washington, and your New York Jets.
Okay.
Which was completely shocking to me.
Well, they had Darnold, so I mean. That was one game I felt pretty confident in.
Yeah, I thought Detroit was going to build off of last season and come out, be ready to rock and roll, and they were not. So,
well, I still keep bringing up the fact that Matt Stafford is the most unreliable quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. My fantasy has shown me multiple times I've had him on my team how unreliable he is. And it's because he has a cannon of an arm. And he had Johnson for years to make him look better, and he doesn't have him anymore. So you see the difference. His accuracy is not where it needs to be at. The man threw 4 picks. So let's just stop denying the undeniable.
Yeah, plus they got Mr. Shaky Coach in there. But we'll discuss all that later. We'll discuss
that, though. But we will start off, though, with who you think is going to be the upset game of the week. There's some pretty good matchups. For me, I decided to go with Indianapolis over Washington. I was shaky about Andrew Luck until I physically saw him in a regular season full game. If I thought that he could really come back and play, and I think last week, I think he'll be okay. I think they might. I think that 6-point spread is a little ridiculous, and I think he can close that gap.
They're in Washington. Am I correct for this one?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you there, because I was watching the Andrew Luck show, and he is very quickly being relegated to the Green Bay Aaron show.
Oh no, I'm not putting him on that level. That's pushing it.
Here's my point: is that he's not Green Bay Aaron.
No, he's not.
So he cannot be a one-man team, one-man wrecking crew, one-man whole get down. So that's why I don't have my faith in Indy yet.
Well, here's my thing. I don't think they're going to win. No. I just don't think they're going to be beat by 7.
By a touchdown. Gotcha. And that's fair.
I think they could keep it to a field goal. I'm putting more faith in the defense, and I'm putting faith that maybe Andrew Luck won't throw as many picks. And even if he does throw picks, he usually is able to kind of counteract that with touchdowns towards the 3rd and 4th quarter. He's kind of like a comeback kid when it comes to that.
Yeah, well, they had the lead on my Bengals, and my Bengals didn't put up 34 on them, so I'm not sweating on their defense. But it's okay.
That's
your pick?
Washington's got Alex Smith, so we'll see. See how he does.
It's your pick.
It is mine. Tell me about yours. What do you think?
I was a little bit completely drawn back when I looked at the spread.
On the Rams, Arizona?
No.
No, because that one's 12. So
that is a very disrespectful spread, though.
Highly disrespectful.
Anytime you put 14 points as a spread, that's just disrespectful.
Maybe New Orleans, Cleveland after Cleveland tied Pittsburgh last week.
Nah, they've got the Bears at 3.5 over Seattle.
Well, I'm sorry, but that Chicago defense is epic right now. And that Seattle offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, but
what? I mean, if the man can't throw the ball.
The whole rest of the Bears, everything is terrible. So I'm rolling with Seattle at 3.5 on that one. Because if the Bears win, it won't be by more than a field goal. So I'm going to take that 0.5 point and skate home with my upset special.
I think that'd be the only way. Maybe you'd win it off the spread, but I could clearly see Chicago winning that. And if Trubisky doesn't turn the ball over, to be honest, I think they could win. And I think they could probably do it by 4.
Yeah, good luck with that. So when Seattle beats them by 7, then yeah.
Well, we'll be talking about it next week, people. So just keep an eye on that. I'm going to take Indy. I think that spread's a little ridiculous, and looks like the Pepper is going to go ahead and squash that Chicago.
Yeah, and I just want to toss in an extra something to watch out for the bettors. Carolina getting 6 at Atlanta. That's always
I don't believe that.
That's always a field goal game.
I'm pretty sure they said that Matt Ryan is 5-6 versus Carolina.
Something like
that. He hasn't lost in the last 3 seasons. I believe he's 5-6.
Yeah, they always beat them, but they always beat them by 1 point off a last-second touchdown or a last-second field goal. Mm-hmm. So I don't like that 6 points at all.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's a pretty. I mean, he's 5-6. So I definitely think he's going to win. But yeah, I would say that spread, depending on how Cam's playing, you never know.
You never know.
All right.
They They did just lose their tight end, which is so sad.
Yes, tell me about it because he is on one of my fantasy rosters. Thanks, Olsen.
Same.
With the broken foot. Thanks, sir.
Oh man,
right? Him and Jason Witten should have both rid off in the sunset together. I don't know who Olsen thought he was.
I thought Olsen had like 2 years left in him, but his feet are like no.
Barely.
No, you don't.
As we see. Well, yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see your guys' picks out there. If you have an upset of the week, go ahead and jump on our Instagram feed and post your upset, or on Facebook. Let us know. Tag us at the Cave Sports on Facebook and Cave Sports Podcast on Instagram. Well, I thought you'd tell us about our power rankings this week. I'd like to know how you feel about them. If you list them off for the listeners. And
all right, so we've got power rankings of Eagles, Rams, Vikings, Patriots, Jaguars, Packers, Falcons, Panthers, Ravens, and Steelers. I'm completely cool with 1 through 6.
So for those that didn't know, since he just listed them off, that's the difference between how a man would list those off and a woman. I'm going to list them off and add the number so you can correlate what he's saying.
It's in order.
So the Eagles are number 1. You know what that reminds me of? It's like one of those things like when a parent is like telling them to like change a kid's diaper and then they just bypass like baby wipes and all the other stuff and they say, but the diapers change. But what about the 17 steps leading up to that was supposed to occur? That did not take place. So the Eagles are 1. The Eagles are at 1, right? Rams at 2. The Vikings are 3rd this week. And then we have the Patriots at 4 and the Jaguars at 5. So those round up the top 5. And then the bottom 6 are Packers at 6, Falcons at 7, Panthers at 8, Ravens at 9, Steelers at 10. 2 of those teams didn't even win their games. Falcons and Steelers. So I don't know how the Steelers tying the Browns would be still at number 10, but okay, NFL.com.
Yep.
So I feel like that was slightly disrespectful. Yeah.
Even though the Jaguars are at 5, I'm still wishy-washy on them. I'm sorry. Their defense is legit, but
Blake Bortles.
Yeah. But when they play somebody like, I'm just weary on them. But my biggest that's not my issue here. My biggest issue is Panthers, Ravens, and Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think the Panthers should be at 7 behind the Packers above the Falcons.
I agree because they won.
Yes. And the Falcons can be right behind the Panthers and they'll settle all that out this week. Yay for football. You are very correct in the Steelers being on here and all they did was tie the Browns. But
yeah, where's Kansas City at?
Yeah, I guess they're figuring, hey, the Steelers were probably 5th or 6th before the weekend. But I'm cool with leaving the Steelers 10, actually. I'm
not okay with that. I'm sorry, but if you watch that Kansas City game, I don't see how you could not have the Kansas City Chiefs at 10. I do not see how you could have the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Kansas City Chiefs.
Personally, I honestly wouldn't have the Ravens in this top 10. So I was about to say
at least the Ravens won. The Steelers tied the Browns that can't even win. If they win, people get free beer. Okay, there's an entire promotion surrounding them not being able to win a game, and the first season or the first game of the season, you tied them. You couldn't score a touchdown to win that game. Really?
Yeah. Well, both of them were looking very inept in that fourth quarter.
But you're number 10 over the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm a Bronco fan, and I'm looking at this saying you're not putting the Chiefs at 10.
Yeah. I would put the Chiefs at 9 and the Steelers at 10. I honestly would not have the Ravens on here.
No,
just plain and simple.
Steelers don't get top 10. You 11.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, Ravens, you lose. You tie, you lose.
Well, regardless of any of that, my whole point is that the Ravens are going to lose tomorrow to the Bengals. So their whole top 10 lived. They beat Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be 0-16 this season.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. But let's not even go there to the shenanigans that they have allowed to occur there. I mean, that would take an entire episode to dissect the shenanigans that happened in Buffalo. And I don't like to call racial bias, but I'm going to say that situation occurred there.
Yeah, that's what they get to.
Yeah.
You should have kept your black quarterback.
Should have kept your black QB.
Now you're going to be the new Cleveland Browns. Correct. And he's going to lead the Cleveland Browns to 6 wins.
Correct.
6 more than you're going to get this season.
They're going to win more than the Bills. The Bills are going to be worse than the Browns. I'm going to say that right now on the air. The Bills will be worse than the Browns this year.
Yes.
Period.
On a quick side note, I meant to bring this up last week and I completely forgot about it. Our teams, your Broncos and my Bengals, they're both 1-0. We need some kind of friendly wager on who's finishing the better record with those guys this year.
You haven't even paid up on the last friendly wager that we made.
That's because I've been in Arizona for 12 minutes this year.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to move to the mainland. I'm still waiting for that to occur. Move faster. Move faster. But no, I do agree. I think that would be a great wager. I feel really confident in my team this year. A lot more confident than I have felt in a long time, and has nothing to do with coaching. I still think he's terrible, but I just feel a lot more confident in our squad as a whole, and I just don't think there's going to be such a significant deficit on one end of the ball versus the other that we had last year. So,
very true. I do think you guys will be a more balanced attack this year. What was your record last year?
Oh, I think we were like 5, and I think maybe won 5 games, maybe.
Okay, I'll give y'all 8-8 this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna give us 10.
Nah, I'm gonna give y'all 8-8.
That's nice of you. I'll take 10.
yeah.
I'll take 10.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 10 for my team. Yes, the Bengals. Yes. So, yes, I know I still owe you the steak dinner, even though we differentiate on what the actual score was.
I massacred you. I beat you by like 40, so it wouldn't even matter if you cut half of those out. I still beat you really badly.
It's all right. We have a full record on Instagram of what's happening this year.
Well, I'm already currently up 1, so
there will be no discrepancies. But I'll let you go ahead and decide what the friendly team wager should be. I'm thinking since we both aren't buying NFL products, that the loser should have to buy that other one a jersey.
That's kind of push. That's not a cheap wager. You might get
neither is steak dinner with cognac.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's pushing it. Maybe we'll see. Okay. I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Everyone heard it right here. Anastasia's afraid of the jersey wager.
It would be just my luck when it's that you would win. But since I'm winning so far, I'm gonna be okay with that.
All right, deal.
Okay. Well, now you've heard about our top 10. We'll be keeping up with the top 10 every single week, and we'll actually tell you guys how they've moved up and down in the rankings, just so you can kind of get an idea of how, I guess the considered professionals that pick these teams feel about it. We obviously disagree with the top 10 right now, as far as that bottom core group, but we will keep you afloat. And once again, you can find these on NFL.com, but it's way more fun listening to us and getting them here.
Yep.
Now everybody here plays fantasy. I'm a huge fantasy player. I have an all girls league. They are super competitive. Then I have a mixed league as well. And, I just think it's, especially for people that don't know very much about football, it's a great way to really learn a little bit more about the game and how everything impacts something else. It's just kind of cool. Makes you pay attention to other teams and their players that normally you would just focus on your own. So, I love that about fantasy. So I figured that we would go ahead and pick a fantasy sit and start this week. I focused on quarterbacks. So I could give you one quarterback you should sit and then one quarterback you should start. And I'm obviously going to give you some facts and stats to back that up. So this week I'm going to be sitting Dak Prescott. His production has taken obviously a significant hit since he had his breakout rookie year. He had a major upheaval in his core receiving. No Jason Witten now, no Des Bryant now. So I feel like he's kind of in a highly exposed position. And I don't know if he's gotten as good as he is going to get. So I just don't have a lot of confidence in his game and performance right now. And unless I see a significant change in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be benching him. My starter is going to be Patrick Mahomes, though, from Kansas City. I feel like he is absolutely proving why the Chiefs traded Alex Smith. I think some people were like a little skeptical at first, thinking, okay, he had one good game last season, and now all of a sudden you're going to trade Alex Smith, who is Mr. Dependable. But Alex Smith is not going to win a Super Bowl. And I think they finally are at a point with Kansas City where they want to be able to put their franchise in a quarterback's hands. Last week he threw for 256 yards. He threw for 4 touchdowns. He had no interceptions, and that is his, debut game as the starter of the team. So I think it's fair to say Kansas City has found their guy, and he definitely could be dangerous. So if you've got Patrick Mahomes, start him.
There it is. I'll piggyback off of what you're doing there with the QBs. And I will go ahead and say, because he's been mentioned twice in our show, I would go ahead and start Alex Smith over the Colts. I like that matchup. I don't trust the Colts secondary at all. Secondly, I will say, also sit, and this is hard to say, sit Aaron. I know if you picked Alex Rodgers Aaron Rodgers as a starting quarterback, you've got a backup somewhere. And the way his knee looked last week versus the Bears, that was a miracle that we saw, we all witnessed on TV, and I enjoyed it because I have him on one of my teams. He will not have a comeback like that against the Vikings.
No.
If he does not have mobility, it is a wrap for the Packers this week. I don't trust them for anything. And, they're going to keep the reports all quiet and, if he's going to play, if he's not going to play, such and such. I don't trust him at all this week, even if he starts.
I think definitely we should see if he's going to be practicing this week. So I would just kind of follow to see, has he been practicing this week
he ain't practicing.
Well? So that's what I'm saying. So if you're seeing that and he's not practicing, that should tell you all you need to know right there.
Yep.
Even if he does play, he could maybe start a game, or he might not even start the game. He might decide to go in and finish it if it's that bad. And they might try to rely on their defense to hold them off, which is not a good idea either, but hey.
At all.
They might chuck this game up as a loss and say, we rather have him for the rest of the season than to throw him out to the Wolves and see him be out just for this one win against Minnesota.
Yeah. And just another little fantasy advice. A lot of people wait to choose a defense or choose them super late or that kind of deal. Anybody that's playing the Bills is going to be an all-star defense. So I'm looking at the Chargers right now.
Hell, Matt Stafford at this point. Anybody playing any defense against him? The picks he's throwing. I mean, I think maybe he's colorblind. Maybe he's confusing the uniforms or something and thinking it's his own players, because that's a type of picks he was throwing.
Yeah, but still, he still gets streaky. He'll have 4 horrible games and then 5 all-world games.
Inconsistent.
So, but the Bills are not going to have any kind of games. So always take a defense that's playing against them.
Oh, man.
And lastly, I kind of feel bad for the Cleveland Browns. Y'all had a chance to win, and now y'all going into New Orleans with a pissed off Drew Brees. Good luck.
Well, I have Drew Brees starting in mine, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah. Just good luck.
So yeah, if you're a fantasy player, feel free to send us your picks and predictions on who you think you should sit and start. We'd love to see that. Like I said, you could follow us on Facebook or on Instagram and post that on our page. Let us know what you think. I'd love to hear what our listeners think about who should sit and who should start.
Yep.
Well, I did want to bring up a topic today. As you guys know, we usually have like some type of a discussion or a debate, or we're going to have something that we're going to kind of focus on within the NFL. And I wanted to focus on the fact that every new head coach lost this past week. So I want to know, whose head do you think is already on the chopping block? I have one specifically in mind, but I am curious, Pepper, who you think's head is on the chopping block?
Personally, straight off the bat, this might be yours because you hate on that quarterback constantly. but with the Lions head coach,
Matt Patricia, could it be?
Yeah. Yeah. That dude had some shady stuff come up in the offseason about some old transgressions and whatnot. So they was thinking about chopping him before he even got his office unpacked. Oh. And then just to start the season out like he did, he looked like he had never coached before on the sidelines.
And it's funny too, when you think so. Anytime I hear that you have basically lost the locker room before you started is already an issue in itself. And he has a lot of players that do not like him, that do not gel with him. And Nick Wright, I was listening to him on Colin Cowherd today, and he had me literally rolling on the floor, dying laughing when he said, "I'm never trusting a man that holds a pencil and is using a laminate sheet for plays." He's like, "How are you writing on that? You need a felt tip marker." So that tells me right there. And he was like, "You're trying to be Belichick because Belichick carries a pencil, but he has a pad of paper to write on." And he was like, "So you're trying to be somebody that you're not." And I'm like, you know what? I was like, I already am always bothered with people that wear backwards hats, especially in a position of authority like that, because I already think it takes down your professionalism. But that right there is epic. Like, really? You got a pencil and you don't even have a pad of paper to write on? What is that?
I thought that New England kept winning in spite of his lack of good coaching in the past couple of years.
And they brought that up. They said that McDaniels, they offered him the moon, the stars, and the sky when he wanted to leave. And Patricia, they're like, "Oh, you got a head coaching gig? We'll see ya."
Yeah, it's been real. Yep.
And you really couldn't justify his firing when you're winning Super Bowls,
Very true. Very true. Yeah, but that's the first person I thought on the chop block, just straight off the bat.
Yeah. There was one more. I'm also looking at the Bills head coach, and I'm sorry, I just don't care what anybody says, but that's just really suspect to me.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's got to take the blame, And that quarterback situation is not going to get any better anytime soon. And usually when you're in that type of situation, usually it's the head coach that falls back on.
What you going to do? You going to fire the ownership? Everybody there?
Right.
Because that was all of them.
Right. But that's who ends up taking it,
Fire the Bills this season. Just fire the whole organization. So sorry.
And it's what it reminds me of too is how they bring up the Giants and how they took Saquon Barkley over Darnold, and how they were like, you basically let the wrath of Eli Manning, not even thinking he has a wrath, but apparently one big enough to where you would pass up the future of your franchise and a quarterback to suffice his ego.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like moves like that you're just like, you have to shake your head at. This Detroit move, him as head coach, I just never thought he was ready. I don't find that coaches that position or coordinators that come from underneath Belichick are necessarily successful. I saw McDaniels in Denver totally biff it. I don't think he picks people that necessarily work in those capacities.
Yeah. they work in his capacity.
Correct.
And that's it.
And that's it. Yeah. So
that's just like all the Patriots players.
Right.
Every Patriot player that goes someplace else sucks donkey balls.
Yeah. It's like, and I'm wondering, like, man, if we took Brady somewhere else, would he still be Brady? I don't know.
Hell no.
You know,
there's not a chance.
They call him the GOAT right now, but I'm like, but the GOAT, you know, the GOAT's never played in any other system.
And that's why I can't call him the GOAT. It's because I truly believe it's systematic. You put Brady on anyone else, his squad, and he was in the league for 3 years. Yeah. And gone.
Well, maybe, I guess you could say that about any player, really. I mean, even when you look at Jordan, I mean, he had Phil Jackson. So technically, doesn't every GOAT basically have a Robin? Like, doesn't every Batman have a Robin?
Yeah, Jordan, those first 2 years was already balling, though, before Phil got there.
Yeah, but we didn't really give him a GOAT title, you know.
Yeah, no. He was just a one show, yeah.
Yeah. That's why I kind of think, like, well, I guess technically could you be the GOAT or could you be the Batman without the Robin, you know, being your coach? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a player that was, you know, just as impactful one place. Except LeBron James is probably the only one we can say that about.
LeBron, yeah.
but you know what I'm saying. But they're not calling him the GOAT. You know, so.
No, some are.
Well, we would, I guess. I am. But you know that's maybe the argument. If we're going to make an argument for a player to be the GOAT over another one, it would be like, have you been able to duplicate that success somewhere else?
Yeah. Oh well, but yeah, that I wouldn't even look at anybody else on the chopping block right now besides Detroit. I'm trying to even think who just gave in like a head scratching, like, okay, you might lose your job soon kind of deal. But yeah, that was it. Detroit and Buffalo. Those were the two most embarrassing things. Maybe not the two most embarrassing, but glaring.
Absolutely. So I want to move on because I wanted to make sure I put in a cave conquering moment, and I thought you'd have a little 2 cents about the cave conquering moment this week. So without further ado, I have to bring up Serena versus the male umpires.
Girls, we run this mother. Girls, we run
cave conquering moment of the week.
Girls, we run this mother.
This is definitely an opportunity for women to not be silenced. You have umpires now saying that they may boycott against her matches. We have seen men in tennis behave far worse than anything we have witnessed with Serena. And I just think this is a travesty on a woman that has literally put women's tennis on the map, and the audacity for that umpire to question her greatness and to even put her in this type of position is just sickening to me. And I am very tired of people using the word fear when they are referring to people of color and making Black women look angry.
Yep. That is, it's sad that we still live in this society, but there's no excuse for it. It's a constant thing that's always gone on with the Williams sisters as far as how they're treated in the country club sport. They were never truly welcome, and Serena, more so than Venus is, because she has a more aggressive attitude, has never always fit in. And it's fine because she shouldn't have to fit in. Her talent is undeniable, and it should not be. She should not be reffed or umpired differently because of the color of her skin. But it's not. I think this is kind of the culmination of years of frustration and things that have gone on with her. Everyone's talking about, just this one incident, but this has been an ongoing, continual kind of deal.
Right. And not to mention that she is the most drug tested woman in tennis. Never mind, she was not the one that was banned for a year because of it. But yeah, we're not the one to gossip, so you didn't hear that from me.
And it's just like she's always like, when's the last time she's been the number one ranked tennis player? But yet every Grand Slam every year, we're talking about her
Correct.
in these finals and taking everything.
Yes. And this is not to take anything from Osaka because she beat her clearly. And more than likely the results would have still honestly been the same. But let it play out the way it's supposed to play out and do not try to tamper with what the game is going to be because it took away from Osaka too. And it's like it almost it tarnished her victory as well. And that just made me sick that two women of color on this stage for the second year in a row, mind you, because last year it was Madison and it was Sloane. And that was a historic first then to have two black women in the finals. Nobody's even talking about the fact that we've done this now 2 U.S. Opens in a row. Yeah. The dominance of women of color is huge and substantial in tennis. And I just don't think they want that narrative. And I think this was a clear example of the sabotage. So I just want to send just a cave conquering shout out to my girl, Serena. I know how it feels. I have been in a workplace where they tried to test me and talk about they're scared to talk to me. And they've used their innate bias to, be able to give themselves the latitude to speak that way and an excuse to, and it's unacceptable. And we will no longer tolerate it.
It shall not be tolerated.
And I am off the soapbox.
She's off. My turn. My turn, because we always like to end on the lighthearted note.
Of course.
After the angry black woman gets angry.
Of course.
With the WTF, what the fuck moment of the week.
What the fuck?
And that boils down to everybody's defense that was still in preseason. The Lions let 48 points, San Diego 38 points, Buffalo 47 points, New Orleans 48 points.
Yeah.
And even Indy let my boys put up 34 on them, even though one was like a last minute pick six or fumble recovery 6, but still, like, for real, these are college scores.
Right.
Y'all just let them put 48 on you, 47, 48, 38. That's not professional. That is not professional. And you could tell just a whole lot of teams on Sunday and even Monday were still on preseason mode.
Yeah.
Like,
some of them didn't play though. Didn't they say that? Who was it? What team they like sat all their best players during the preseason?
I think it was Dallas.
Was it Dallas? Yes, it was Dallas. Yes, it was Dallas. So Dallas didn't play anybody, and they looked like they didn't play anybody.
Yeah.
During the preseason.
Yep. It was very sad, but yes, that's my what the fuck moment. Like, hey, it's okay. It's week 2. Y'all gonna show up now?
Well, we shall see.
Some of the coaching decisions was weird too. Like, what game was I watching? I was watching the Texans versus New England, and there was a couple of calls on there where it's like, hey man, throw the flag. That game could have been totally different. Gronk didn't catch that ball.
Yeah, there were a few, and like, I did see some questionable calls. I'll give the umps a little bit more latitude, but you're not on vacation anymore either.
Yeah, they were missing some stuff, but I was just happy. I think everybody was just happy they didn't get crazy helmet contact happy. There was a few incidents, but everyone was worried about them just being all helmet to helmet contact, lowering head happy. And for the most part, they didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out for the rest of the season. I know that we're going to be here talking about it every single week. We're going to throw in some college ball in there as well. I don't want to talk about last week because we basically lost a quarterback in the last 3 minutes of the game. So I was a little shooketh by that.
I'm sending hugs.
Especially because the only backup we had was a walk-on. But never mind that. So we'll see what happens. But I'm thanking everybody for making sure they're tuned in. I want to tell you, don't forget to make sure you follow us, because if you follow us, you're going to know when we are posting each new live video. And we always, talk about what's going on in sports on the page all week long. So you can catch our pics on Instagram. You can catch links to catch the show and just talk about sports with us. We love talking football, and we definitely will comment back if you post.
There it is.
Well,
we appreciate
you. Right? Pepper, do you have anything amazing going on the comedy front in Hawaii?
Yes, I will be recording my new DVD on October 13th. And it is called Whiskey, Tinder, and Minivans. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be dope. So if you know anybody in Hawaii and it's coming out this way and the middle of October, make sure they come and be part of a live DVD filming. And besides that, I just got little shows, just getting warmed up, getting stretched out, ready to do my thing.
Awesome. Well, we'll be excited to be able to actually get a copy. Hopefully that DVD will be digital, because I don't even have a DVD player in my house anymore. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all digital copy. Yeah,
that'll be awesome. Well, great. Well, I'm your host, Anastasia.
And I am Pepper, the misunderstood evil genius, everybody's favorite crazy cousin, the most powerful comedian in the universe.
His outro keeps getting longer. And this is The Cave.
You have entered The Cave with Anastasia and the misunderstood evil genius.